Okay crew, gather around the sunny snack table, cause today we're ripping open the ultimate mystery pack. Who's actually gonna put a ring on our rubber-bodied future pirate king? I mean, Luffy's idea of a dream date is basically getting dropped into an all-you-can-eat barbecue with a side of pirate adventure. So landing him in holy matrimony sounds harder than finding the One Piece itself. But come on, that doesn't stop us from making totally scientific guesses, right? First stop on the struggle bus is poor Alvida, the very first pirate lady our straw-hatted hero ever punched into the horizon. Remember, she went from self-proclaimed sea beauty to slim-down slip-slip goddess, and ever since that glow-up, she's been low-key obsessed with our boy. Problem is, Luffy barely remembers her name, let alone her face, and every time she tries to flirt, he hits her with the trademark, "Huh? Who are you again?" stare. That's right, my friends, it's a frosty 0%, the romantic equivalent of getting blasted into Orbit Town. Sorry, Captain Alvida, maybe aim for someone who at least remembers your wanted poster. Scooting up a smidge, we hit Jewelry Bonnie at a whopping 1%. On Egghead, she and Luffy bonded over inhaling 17 metric tons of food, and yes, they look absolutely adorable rolling around in Gear 5 and distorted age forms. But let's be real, she's biologically 12, the woman eats like a black hole vacuum, and she called Luffy rival more times than Nami calls him an idiot. Cool shared appetite, fun ally vibes, but wedding bells? Not in this decade, unless there's a 10-year time skip nobody told us about. Next in line nibbling at a crisp 5% is Carrot. She literally bites Luffy's face every time she's happy, which in mink language is the equivalent of passing love letters during class. Luffy? He's cool with it, sure. Sometimes the tooth marks leave a dent, but he let her hitch a ride to Whole Cake Island like it was no big deal. Trouble is, she's busy being the new crowned ruler of the Mokomo Dukedom, so her schedule's loaded with invoices for carrots and electric fence maintenance. Long-distance marriages across the Grand Line? Yeah, those end up on Jerry Springer. 5% feels generous. Clocking in at 7% is Vinsmoke Reiju, aka Sanji's super cool sister who can literally vacuum poison with her lips. Reiju once preserved Luffy's lungs like a human air filter, and she clearly digs his honesty. Luffy's definitely grateful. Dude talked about her like she was the best nurse in paradise. But Sanji guarding his captain's virtue like it's the last slice of cake in the fridge? Yeah, our curly brow chef would strangle that ship before it sets sail. Reiju stays in the elegant crush zone at 7. Sliding over the line to 8% comes Princess Shirahoshi. She's taller than Dory and Broggy stacked on top of each other, cries enough tears to refill Fishman Island's bubble, and trusts Luffy like he's the sea god himself. Sadly, Luffy sees her as a little sister who needs tough love, calling her Crybaby Hoshi while simultaneously vowing to take her to a real forest someday. Translation? Eternal sibling energy. Sweet? Absolutely. Wedding chapel? Only in Neptune's dreams. Alright, we're cracking double digits now, 10%, split between two powerhouses, Nico Robin and Yamato. Robin literally lived because Luffy was willing to set global diplomacy on fire at Enies Lobby. She treasures his existence more than her personal library, and Luffy protects her like priceless treasure. Yet their vibe is respectful academia meets hyperactive chaos gremlin. Wonderful synergy for adventures, but neither of them ever gives off that I think about you at midnight aura. Meanwhile, Yamato adores him partly because he carries Ace's will. She calls him Odin's heir. He shattered her exploding cuffs, and they battled Kaido tag team style. She even refused to bathe until he woke up. Still, she's guarding Wano right now, and Luffy's basically, yo, doors open, join when you're ready. 10% apiece feels fair. The possibility glimmers, but there's no Dawn Island sunrise just yet. 15% belongs to Marguerite, Amazon Lily's spear-throwing sweetheart who saved Luffy from mushroom overload, took an arrow for him, then got petrified for her trouble. Luffy, in turn, detonated Conqueror's Haki for the first time in pure rage to protect her statue self. Huge emotional moment, yes, but since then, she's stayed on Kuja territory while Hancock hogs center stage. Marguerite is forever grateful. Luffy calls her a friend, but the Kuja Empress's glare is basically a death sentence to anyone flirting within a 50-mile radius. Hence, a respectable 15, but the odds aren't conquering any seas. Kicking up the dust at 30% is Rebecca from Dressrosa. She once tried to stab him in the Colosseum, then ended up cradling his unconscious head after he flattened Doflamingo like deli meat. Luffy restored her kingdom, reunited her with her dad, and she gushes about him to every marine with ears. You can practically feel the sparkles when she sees newspaper pictures of Gear 5. Sadly for fairy tale shippers, she's busy ruling Dressrosa, and Luffy's allergic to royal commitments. Still, 30%, because that girl would literally cross the red line for him, and you never underestimate determination born from a tyranny toppled. Busting straight into the 60% club, we've got Uta, the childhood friend stamped semi-canon by Oda himself. She and little Luffy once shouted dreams off windmill posts while stealing Shank's dining hall leftovers. He taught her to appreciate Fuchsia Village. She sparked his fascination with pirate music, and both of them are still chasing those sky-high goals. If canon ever drags film characters into the manga's endgame, their shared past could balloon faster than Luffy inflates his bones. The only caveat? Uta's busy rocking world tour concerts in a timeline that might implode. Still, 60%. Never sleep on nostalgic childhood friends. Now the spotlight cranks to 80% for Princess Nefertari Vivi. She basically became an honorary Straw Hat during the Alabasta saga, almost abandoned royal duty for the Sunny, and has an X-Mark scar handshake that still makes grown fans tear up. Years later, when news hits that her dad was murdered and she went missing after the reverie, Luffy nearly hijacked a warship at Sabaody just to bring her home. Zoro barely talked him down. If Vivi shows up yelling, "Take me with you forever," you better bet that marriage license is halfway printed. Political storms might complicate things, but the bond's unbreakable and packed with nostalgia, trust, and a touch of childhood crush energy. 80% and climbing. Hovering just below perfection at 95% is Navigator Supreme Nami. I mean, come on! The very first time Luffy trusted someone with his straw hat, he put it on her head before decking Arlong. He scaled a snow mountain carrying her in freezing blizzards. She's the voice of reason that keeps him alive, and he's the muscle that keeps her dream of mapping the world afloat. Their careers literally intertwine. Pirate King needs a world-class map. World map needs a pirate king who never stops sailing. Emotional synergy? Check. Financial synergy? Maybe not. He keeps blowing up her Tangerine Grove. But binding destinies? Oh yeah. 95.5%, baby. But none of them, and I do mean none, match the sheer, unfiltered devotion of Boa Snake Princess Hancock, clocking in at an eye-watering 99%. She went from turning men to stone with a glare, to turning into a puddle of blushy goo whenever Luffy accidentally calls her by name. She smuggled him into Impel Down wrapped in her cloak, kicked marine admirals just to create a path for him, and offered him her entire island as a hide-and-seek fortress. Luffy likes her, appreciates her, calls her Hancock without honorifics, and thanks her for the mountains of meat she gives him. His only barrier is pure obliviousness. Once he realizes marriage is basically a permanent all-you-can-eat ticket courtesy of Kuja hunting parties, that clergy's gonna start fashioning rings out of sea prism stone. And finally, ladies and gents, we reach the immutable, incorruptible, absolutely unstoppable 100% spouse. Meat. Yes, glorious grilled, roasted, skewered, marinated meat. Luffy daydreams about it mid-battle, recovers from near death with a single chomp, and literally shouted, "I love meat!" louder than any confession he's ever made to an actual human. When he achieved Gear 5 against Kaido, his first thought after winning was snack time. If global law allowed interspecies marriage with entree items, Luffy would have already eloped with the giant turkey leg by chapter 50. No power in this world or the next can sever the soul bond between Monkey D. Luffy and an extra-large serving of protein. So where does that leave us? Well, until Oda draws the final page, everything's open water. Whatever happens, one fact stands merrier than any wedding bell. Luffy's true soulmate will always be the endless horizon and the feast waiting at the next island. Think I missed your favorite ship? Screaming for Carrot or swearing it's gotta be Robin? Hit the comments with your hottest takes faster than Luffy can inhale a banquet. And in the meantime, if you want to see another cool video, you can check out this one that's appearing on your screen. Click on it to see.